Hi, this is Dan Gilvizan, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
This is Optimus Prime, and you're listening to All Things Transformers.
Yes. That's right, folks. Megatron is here, and Megatron finally has his own Megatron, and he's been playing with himself. Megatron, how do you feel?
Excellent. Yes.
What a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
So this is a special intro to All Things Transformers. Steve Megatron and I are here. We are tackling this on top of the comic episode from the pull bag and All Things Transformers you'll hear later in the episode, but we've got some news. But before that, like I said, Megatron has received his Megatron.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes,
and
yes.
I'm quite happy.
So you don't need another Megatron for another 7 years, right?
No, it just depends on what they are.
Sure.
I've kind of looked at the old alligator.
Mm-hmm.
But one, it's tiny, and the cost of it is stupid.
Yeah.
And then there's this deluxe figure.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a reimagining. It was during the 10th anniversary. They came out with like the deluxe Optimus Primal and deluxe Megatron that were
right.
Basically what they probably could have looked like as Transmetals.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to have both of them. And the Megatron goes for, and I think I paid like $15 a piece for him at the time. He goes for like $75 now.
What size class is he?
Deluxe.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, that's why I said I was like, and then the Primal is like 30 to 40, and I'm like, well, I don't really care about Primal enough. Like, I didn't like the toy, and the Megatron is kind of interesting enough. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but it's not like a necessity. Yeah. Like, I don't care enough because I have the show versions.
Yes, exactly.
And those are kind of where it's at. So yeah, I got the knockoff Megatron.
Is it a knockoff? I thought it was.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, the official is anywhere from 300 to 500.
Oh, gee, yeah.
Okay. Because you can't find it. Yeah. And you can the surefire telltale way of looking is, one, the paint decor is slightly different, but you won't notice it unless you actually have them side by side.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they replaced some of the way the hip joint works on the knockoff compared to the official. Like, they fixed some of the quality control issues.
Okay.
And then the head is lacking the Predacon logo. So that's the main thing. And then they separated his, like, the part of his back that, kind of stands up, where it's part of the beast mode stuff folded over. They separated them into two separate pieces on the knockoff compared to the official.
Interesting.
I think it has to do with some, like, a load bearing weight balance type thing. And so when I took him out of the package, like, you have to put on his hip blasters, you have to put on the backpack stuff. Some of them, there have been reports of having to put on, like, the shoulder pads. This was not the case on this one. And then you have to put on his tail add-on to his arm. And there's, like, a little clip that these things, like, holster into. And so they make it really easy to assemble. He doesn't come with, like, they have the circuit board as far as his light up capability is concerned. And they have, like, a light up feature, and I think you have to take the head off. Maybe. I don't fully know. I haven't. The only bad thing about a knockoff, they don't come with instructions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to watch a video to find out where to change the battery or to activate it. I know there's a spot in the head, like the beast head, that you pop it up and then you can get in there. But yeah, I'm unsure at present how to, because he's supposed to have a light up feature for the eyes. And the blast effect used to come with a light up capability, but because of just the electronic shortage during all of the shutdown and everything else, they didn't assemble it with that so they could still sell it. So it's a little sad, but it's not a huge deal. But no, I mean, it's a spectacular figure, very weighted. The heels are die cast. There's various other parts that are kind of die cast. I noticed the beast mode head is very heavy.
Nice.
And some of the balancing on the figure is kind of bad, because like when you lean his arm forward, he kind of leans a little bit unless you have his feet in the right formation, and the toes all move individually and everything. And
wow.
It's such an awesome figure, like the detail. And
that's cool.
I think I have a battery somewhere, and I'm going to try and pop it in there and see if I can light him up.
Nice.
For the robot mode, because there's a push button in the back of the head. But he comes with the 3 different faces. He comes with the one that's just kind of mouth closed. He comes with the one that's like the scowl, that the angry face that he normally has with the teeth showing, and then he has the yes face, which the Transmetal do that as well.
Very cool.
So yeah, I'm very happy with it. And then seeing him next to the Kingdom figure makes him look so tiny. Makes the other one look so tiny. There's a lot of shared similarities in it, but this is definitely like
better.
Yeah, I mean, the colors are correct. Even with the premium finish version of the Kingdom figure that's supposed to come out, it's lacking the proper paint decor. They showed promo images with the proper paint decor, and then the release photos are still better than the Kingdom, but they're still not. They're missing that metallic sheen of paint.
Yeah.
That they show on, basically they took the promo footage was of Masterpiece colors.
Right.
And then they gave us budget colors. So, yeah. So I'm very happy with the proper, Masterpiece. So, what I might do though is transform the Masterpiece one into beast mode, and then have the other one as the robot mode.
That makes sense. That'd be cool.
Because I hate the beast mode on the other one. And this one I love the dinosaur head. That's like the main part that makes it for me is the dinosaur head.
Always make sure you love the dinosaur head, folks.
That's what she said.
Anything else? Have you missed anything? Anything else you want to talk about this new Masterpiece Megatron you've gotten from the third party peoples?
I'm not sure like how to transform it yet, because again, I'm gonna have to find instructions.
Yeah, we can. I'm sure somebody like PR or somebody out there on YouTube has a video of the thing. Maybe, most likely.
Yeah, and I'm sure somebody has it. I know there's a way to. I know roughly where some of the stuff is at on the head. Like for instance, the battery compartment and things like that. It's just a matter of.
So what mode is it in currently? Robot mode, right?
Robot mode. It shows up in robot mode. Okay,
yeah. Well, just leave that in robot mode for now and put the other idiot in dinosaur mode, I guess, until you can figure it out.
Save some space.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, but I don't know. I really like this, and he goes so nicely with my Masterpiece Transmetal. What's sad is he's like a head taller than Optimal Optimus. And in the Transmetal Megatron, I felt like he should have been, and I get what they were doing. They were trying to scale with Takara's Masterpiece stuff.
Yeah.
So they made Transmetal Optimus Primal taller than the original, who's like crazy short. And Beast, like Optimus Primal's like 8 inches, maybe, maybe if you're lucky, maybe 7. And then the Transmetal is like 8, almost 9, and the Beast and Transmetal of Megatron is like 10, almost 11, and Optimal is like just shy of either just shy of 10 or just over 10. So he's like a whole head shorter, and he's supposed to be like this behemoth.
That's awesome. Very awesome.
But either way, I love the detail. I love the detail, the shine, the effects on it. If I absolutely had to dump figures, it would be none of my masterpiece.
Yeah.
I would keep the masterpiece. I would dump everything else if I had like no other choice.
Right.
So, but yeah, the Megatrons are, and my kid was like, so why do you like the bad guy? I said, can you do the voice? And he goes, no. I says, I can.
Exactly.
I said, that's why.
That's why.
He was like, so if you had to get rid of some, what ones would you get rid of? And I says, the ones I can't do the voice for. And he says, you can do almost all of them.
Exactly.
Because like I have Scourge, I have, G1 Megatron, I have Grimlock, I have Prime, I have, the only ones I can't do are the majority of the Maximals and majority of the Preds that are kind of different.
Yeah, like you can't do
Black Arachnia or Quick Strike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically you could do Quick Strike. You just got to sound like this. You got to put a little country twang on it with a Quick Strike, like, that something like that there. I guess. I don't know. All right. I have stuff that I've had come in, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet because I'm waiting for more. My 3-0 orders came in. So I have the MDLX Optimus, Nemesis, and Gold Bug. I actually had to get the 3-0 MDLX figures, the Bumblebee Gold Edition, which is essentially Gold Bug, was a show exclusive, some sort of show exclusive. I had to go on eBay to get that, but the other two, the Optimus and the Nemesis, I was able to get from Big Bad Toy Store, and I am waiting on. I have the Cliff Jumper, but I'm waiting on. Oh, when does second quarter begin? God damn it! I don't know how
second quarter.
We are. Oh well, then it should be coming soon. I have the MDLX Megatron, and then I have the MDLX Rodimus pre-ordered, and Cliff Jumper is in my pile of loot on BBTS. So I am not ready for, technically we could do 3 and 3. Cliff Jumper, Megatron, Rodimus in the second episode, and Optimus Nemesis and Gold Bug in the first. But yeah, that'll be for another day because we have news to talk about before we get to the comics. Yay, news. Oh my god. So we are finally getting this was can confirm from the Decemberist on the 2005 TFW 2005 boards that the Megatron Design Wii 3A30 received assets of while we worked in development for the DLX figures for the B movie. So this design that we have on this Megatron box art was originally supposed to be the Bumblebee movie Megatron. And this is new box art for Rise of the Beast packaging, Megatron.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm going to say again, it's...
I love how it's the wrong figure in the box, though.
Yeah, it's the wrong... Well, no, isn't it the right figure in the box?
I mean, it looks totally different than the picture.
No, it's similar. Because
in what way? The other one's like super Robo Kibble in the face, and this one looks like something. Well, maybe the second head is mixed somewhere, but the Robo Kibble on the front, I see the red thing, that whole red underside thing underneath the Decepticon, the stuff that's on the box art. That's on his toy right there. So maybe it's just they decided to put a normal Megatron head on there so they didn't scare the kids away with the monster face Megatron on the package. I don't know. But this is new packaging for Rise of the Beast Megatron. Very, very cool. Absolutely dig it. Think it's great. I'm not buying it. Yeah, not either.
Just because I
appreciate
Beast Megatron,
I'd have to change my tune.
Well, yeah, obviously, yes. If it was the Beast Megatron, you would have to change your tune, but it's not. It's Bumblebee movie Megatron. Up next, we have the Transformers Generation VNR Optimus Prime in-hand images. Now, this is basically Holiday Prime, but in Generation 1 colors.
That is affirmative.
I love this figure.
So because I'm looking through all the comparison photos, they compare this to, I forget which other Optimus that is. Is that
they show Laser and Earthrise?
Okay, it's Earthrise Optimus. I knew they showed Laser because that's the Laser Optimus Prime's cab is 3 times longer than any of the other cabs, and one of the other cabs doesn't even have a nose at all. It's a flat nose. But what I love about this is I love the robot mode more than the alt mode, because I think personally for that design, the candy-coated G2 color scheme, the Holiday Prime, is a better paint job. However, in robot mode, I love this thing. The only thing I'm looking at, I forget what the name of the picture is, but it's the one where he's standing inside his open trailer, and he's got the gun and he's pointing the gun. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that picture, the only thing that's missing is a little roller in between his feet in the trailer. That's the only, and I know that's a little nitpicky thing of like, this is how I would display this figure if I had it. In robot mode, standing in the trailer with the gun pointing out. That would be awesome.
I really like the aesthetic of the figure. Mm-hmm. No matter what way. I don't care for him as much in vehicle mode.
Yeah, I don't either. But
the robot mode, something about it just does it for me. And mm-hmm. I don't love the legs.
Yeah, the legs are. So the problem with the legs is because
it's the cab flipped around.
Yeah, that's the problem. And the problem with that is because the cab is all red. It throws off the color. Like, Optimus's legs are always supposed. I'm not saying they can't change color. Hello, look at Candy Cane Optimus, but that's a whole different thing. But when you think of Optimus Prime, you think red, white, and blue. You think yellow for the headlights, maybe a little bit of gray for the hinges, for the shins or whatever. But his general truck legs have always been all blue, and this red is throwing us off. But it's okay. You could get used to it, I guess, if you were going to have it. I love the Matrix look. I think that's cool. That I love that the Matrix folds down mm-hmm.
instead of just opening up from the chest. Like, it kind of gives a different look, and it's this translucent red when you open it. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I think I really like is the head sculpt is probably the most accurate.
Yeah.
Whereas the Earthrise, the War for Cybertron stuff, the head sculpt was not. It left a lot to be desired. Like, the head sculpt on the Earthrise stuff and on the War for Cybertron was more of a G2 head of Prime, whereas this is more like canonical G1.
Yeah.
And the details in the mask and in the helmet just make this figure, honestly. And they have the waist, the yellow paint job there. They have the paint on the lights on the cab, whereas the original, the War for Cybertron release doesn't have that.
Yeah.
I had to manually paint some of that stuff in there. And I love the wheelbase folding over behind his back. I love how it looks over his shoulder.
Yep. That looks cool as hell. Yeah.
And I was like, I think the torso and the head of Prime alone make this figure for me. I could give a rip about the trailer, and honestly, with having, I have an Ultra Magnus that the white Prime I turned into Ultimus, and then I have the Netflix Prime that I turned into G2 Prime, and so this, if I had this, it would be the G1 Prime. Mm-hmm. Although I'm wondering if they're going to come out with a Studio Series 86 Prime and have proper deco and then use this head sculpt again.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be cool. I don't know.
If they did, I would be all over that. But
I mean, if they did, they'd have to come out with 2 versions of him. You know, a real color and then a dead color.
I am Optimus Prime.
I mean, the trailer is what the trailer is, but like I said, that picture with him standing inside the trailer in the battle pose, that's why I love the trailer. And I would not use this for any other pose other than that. But you're right, the head sculpt on it, the colors, everything about it looks absolutely fantastic. And finally, well, there was one little thing. So I noticed this I follow a tech YouTuber called, his name is Mark Spurl. He's a Canadian, and he does a bunch of tech stuff. I've been following him for a couple years now. And he was doing one of these mail call videos where he opens up all the packages that he's had, you know, piled up for whatever. And it's things that companies have sent him or whatever else. Well, apparently, Nebula is a company who specializes in smart projectors. They sent him the Optimus Prime Capsule 3 laser projector. Now, the only reason why we're even talking about this, and then we're immediately going to move on to the Rise of the Beast poster, and I don't know how, I don't think Mark's a huge Transformers fan, because he didn't, like, he knew it was the Nebula Capsule 3 laser projector. He opened the box before he realized that it was Transformers base. He got the thing in his hand, and he's like, oh, Optimus Prime. Closes he closes the box. Oh, I didn't even notice the Autobot logo. That's so cool, and whatever else. But yeah, I thought this was kind of cool that they did a Transformers collaboration. And it's just a laser projector. You got to have a wall big enough to project the stuff onto it and whatever else and all that. And they're cool for like camping trips and things like that. But
the battery only lasts 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I mean enough for one movie. That's maybe 90 minutes. But, I mean, you know, it's a little tiny thing that I think is cool that you don't often think of the Transformers brand, collaborating with a laser projector, you know. And then we have the Rise of the Beast new promotional poster. Wow, this thing is cool. Dang.
Yeah, say what you will about, you know, the Rise of the Beast. I do like that they have Prime kind of as the center focal point.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have, if you look at it, the proportions are about the same because you have Primal.
Yeah.
Rhinox Mirage, Air Razor RC, Bumblebee Cheetor.
Yep. Yeah. It's very cool. I love the background of it because it's a combination between like the mountains and the whole beast side, and then obviously the city for all the car robots and all that. Very, very cool.
And of course, I'm going to give it a shot when it comes out.
Yeah,
I do like that they went back with the original Transformers logo, almost. Because at least that makes it look like it's in universe, regardless of what, you know, the story turns out. They're kind of trying to call back.
Yeah. And they did say it is a direct sequel to Bumblebee. So something in the beginning of this movie, I'm betting, is going to have Bumblebee going to I'm very curious and very, very excited to see how this movie starts compared to how Bumblebee ended. So I'm very excited for this. So that's the news. Anything else you want to say before we head on over to the full Transformers Marvel Classics Volume 2 part of the episode?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, folks, we're going to join us from the past as we are recording this in the present, because we recorded the other thing in the past, because that's where all the seats are buried.
So you're hearing us from the future. So it's just confusing.
Mm-hmm. As they often say, Seeds of the future are lied buried in your ass. It's time for an all-new All Things Transformers as we are crossing over with the pull bag for Autobotly April 2023.
Yes.
No, that's not.
I like to mess with you. It's fun.
Autobotly April? No.
Yes, Megatron. It is Autobotly April. And we're going back to talk about something that you absolutely love, which is Transformers, the Marvel US run. As you know, folks, I'm TFU and Mike. Joining me is Steve Megatron. Hello.
Hello.
And we hope you'll enjoy these episodes as we are making our great escape into comics and we board the Ark as we talk about all things Transformers. And after 8 years, I think we did volume 1 of this series back in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like it was more recent than that.
No, it wasn't. I went back and because whoever that person was that I tagged you in the comment on Facebook.
Yep.
Whoever that person was, it was Jim Black. Jim, hi Jim. I think I had posted the link to episode 101 of the Pull Bag when we did that first volume. Yeah, it's been a long time since we've done this, and yeah, it was April 5th. Wow, we're so close. April 15th, 2015. We're recording this March 20th, 2023. The March of the Transformers comics. Oh, Lord. So, yeah, I read these, and then I read the Wikipedia, the TF Wiki, I should say, articles. So for me, as a legally blind person and as someone who reads the stuff on his phone, the guided view with Comixology has to be just right, and it has to roll the way it's supposed to draw your eye to certain things. And the way these comics have been laid out, and I know these comics are 40 fucking years old at this point, but like just the way that technology is working with it, it just didn't work for me. So while I liked the visuals and I read half of the book itself for issues 14 through 25, I actually went back and read all of the issue pages on TF Wiki just so I could get the story without having to. I kind of am going to cheat on these things, folks, because I'm legally blind, damn it.
Well, and what's funny is I read them not when they first came out, because obviously I was too young.
You were too young, or you weren't even born yet.
Yeah. But I caught them at used bookstores, like used comic shops, in their like quarter bin, and there was another comic shop that had them, and they sold them for like, $2 to $7 depending on the rarity of the issue. And for the most part, I found them for about a quarter, which used to drive the one comic shop guy nuts.
Yeah, well.
Because I would come in there and I wouldn't buy anything of value. I would go in there and raid the quarter bin, and it's like, dude, I don't have money. Like,
yeah, you're a kid.
And even when I was working at like Applegate, I still was collecting. Like when I first started working there, I was collecting the comics still, trying to find them. And it took. I never did complete it. That's what's funny.
Well, we're going to complete it now.
I was 10 issues shy.
Yeah.
Of having the physical copies.
Oh, wow.
And same thing with G2. I was like 3 issues shy of having the complete G2. But some of the issues were so hard to find.
Yeah.
Or they wanted a stupid amount of money for them.
Yeah.
Which both were not an option. So, yeah, I mean, so let me preface this before we go in and do a review.
Yeah.
How would you rate this compared to like some of the more obscure IDW stuff? Not like because this obviously bounces all over the place.
Right. When you say obscure IDW stuff, do you have a specific example?
I do not, because I did not read most of the IDW stuff. Although in the future, because I'm forcing you to go through the Marvel run as we work our way back to IDWs and the eventual next holder of the license.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see how we rate things as we progress along, or how much we're like, yeah, this is so much better, or yeah, this is so much worse.
So I don't think there is a comparison. Now, people listening to the sound of my voice, I say that all the time on shows now, but if you're listening to the sound of my voice, if there is a comparison between the Marvel US run and the IDW, I'm going to say 2.0 run, starting with the death of Optimus Prime and then going to More Than Meets the Eye and Robots in Disguise, which then became Lost Light and Optimus Prime. There is no direct comparison because they are two very different animals released at times that are very different from each other. And the thing is, this was Transformers Marvel Comics. This was Transformers, like you said, again, to preface this thing, I was a cartoon kid. I have never, until what was 8 years ago when we did the first volume in April of 2015, I had never read this stuff. I had no interest in it. I was all about the animation. I was all about the toys as a kid. Now, this issue 14 released November 26th. Well, it was first published November 26th of 1985, which is pretty much a full, almost 8 months before you were born or so, in June of 86. So, and it has a cover date of March of 86, and it went on sale December 17th of 85 for issue 14. So, yeah, I had no real... For me, the biggest thing every time I would see these covers and these interiors is, oh my God, they're using 5 colors and that's it. Coming from IDW, where the colors and the art is explosive, is in your face, is so high detailed, going back to this Marvel 80s style is like, it's not jarring, it's just weird. And you talk about the prices of the books. Every single cover in Volume 2, because it's Transformers Classics.
Volume 2
done by IDW is what I'm reading these from. Yep. All of the main covers that they show before each of the start of the issue has a 75-cent price on it. So the fact that some of these books were going for $7 in the 80s, or 90s, probably when you were getting them, because, whatever. But, just boggles my mind.
Well, and there's things I like about these, and then there's things I don't. Like, it's very 80s aesthetics. Oh, yeah. For one. Two, the coloring, I'm not going to lie, it gets better as it goes along. But I feel like you have to hit, issue 42...
Oh my God.
To get to anything halfway decent looking. And then it takes until the mid 50s, 60s to get to almost what they look like in G2.
Right.
And then it kind of holds that until the end, because they changed artists.
Yeah.
And the writers.
Yeah.
When we got Simon Furman,
yeah,
that's when things kind of changed in a different direction. The stories got bigger, grander, more cohesive.
Yeah.
A lot of the little separate sideline stories actually play into the main, whereas there's a lot of separated stories. And I feel like until the almost Headmasters era in this, they really don't have much continuing stories.
Yeah, I mean... So the way I look at it is episodic television in comparison to serialized television. This kind of starts off as your obviously these comics are not running weekly, but this is your Transformers comic of the month. This is your adventure of the month. Mm-hmm. Next month, you are going to come back and you are going to get, like, in what the hell month are we in now? March. In March, you might get an issue of the comic where Shockwave is the main villain and he's the leader of the Decepticons. In April, you may get Megatron taking control back, or you might have the plight of the Bumblebee. We'll get to that, folks. And again, using TF Wiki for the creative, as you've said, Bob Budiansky on writing for this. I'm going to go through these issue by issue for the creative, so everyone gets credit, because no one should not get credit if they had, whatever. I don't want to not. So Bob Budiansky on issue 14. Penciler was Don Perlin. Inker was Al Gordon. Colorist was Neil Yomtov. The letterer was Janice Chang. Editor was Mike Carlin. Is that who I think that is? No way. Yes, it is.
Editor-in-Chief Jim Shooter.
Yeah, Editor-in-Chief Jim Shooter, but wow. Yeah, Mike Carlin. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's currently the executive editor at DC. Wow. Yeah, I know Mike. I don't know Mike, but
he's currently at DC Comics.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah. Wow, that's right. Because Mike Carlin is just a name that you just know because of Marvel. So, as I often do on my phone, I will take screenshots and post them on social media in preparation for the podcast. And the first panel that I hit here in issue 14 was the panel where Optimus Prime is explaining something to these newly made Autobots. Your engrams were encoded in a pattern of light within crystalline containment vessels. The Decepticons ambushed us, causing the Ark to crash land here on Earth. Our war continues, and now your presence is needed. The Ark built these 5 bodies into which I have just placed your minds. Now all of you live for a second time.
Well,
so
and this
basically...
Yeah, well, the panel before when
they're all talking,
Prime takes Jetfire to Ratchet, you can see all the downed Autobots from Volume 1 that in some part he had to do with.
Yeah.
But it's all the main Season 1 cast that are down for the count. Mm-hmm. And then you get the Season 2 people.
Yeah.
That are in these crystals and these guns that look like Prime's ion cannon
rifle, yeah. But what I love about this Prime panel here is, so basically either Optimus Prime is Jesus Christ or he's Noah, because if the Ark is making the bodies for these encoded personalities, let's say, if the Ark is making the bodies, then Optimus Prime is Noah. I keep telling the rabbits, only two.
Well,
like
it's kind of just recreating their bodies. I
know.
And
but
the memory engram crystals is almost like the Sparks.
Yeah, sort of.
Before they had Sparks.
Yeah.
But we get Grapple, we get Hoist, we get Smokescreen, Skids, and Tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very green.
Oh yeah. All of them are, and
then they have to learn about their disguises and transformations, and Bumblebee's kind of chief among them to teach them. Earthlings would call me a tour guide.
Yes, they would.
Oh Lord! And then the coloring. One thing I'll note is the coloring on a lot of the characters are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically when you get to like Starscream in the next, on the next kind of page.
Yes.
He's like a blend of Starscream with Thundercracker with who knows what.
There's a close-up of Starscream's face. This is another screenshot I took. Where'd it go? Maybe it was before. Maybe it was before the Autobot thing. I know, where is it? There it is. Yeah, it's before. It's the page right after Prime brings them back to life. It's the final panel on whatever page it is, but he says, "I didn't accept the job of heading this energy procurement operation to become Shockwave's fool on Thundercracker. We must do something." And I'm looking at Starscream's face, and it is all black with basically Prowl Fire dying eyes from Transformers the movie. He looks horrible.
Yeah, and that's
like
sadly
Ramjet.
what you're going to see for at least the first 24 issues.
But yeah, okay. Well, we're only in issue 14, so
yeah. This is not, and I'll preface this with, this issue is not one of my favorites from this.
No,
because I never really got into the Rock Band thing. I never really got into all that. I find it entertaining, when they're at the gas station filling up.
Yeah, that was funny.
How are you talking without moving your mouth? And, and they're like, hey, here's my BlackRock Gold Priority card. And then his wrist flips around in an unnatural.
Yep.
And GB BlackRock is, kind of their.
He's kind of their guy. He's kind of their
guy, their benefactor, and he's kind of all over the place. And through the end of this series, along with some others, like Circuit Breaker and some of those that they'll live until the end. But yeah, I mean, and thankfully we're not covering the UK comic.
Do you want to?
No offense to them, because it goes even all over the place even more. Because it lasted longer, and Simon Furman was writing those way before he started writing the American one.
Yep. Wasn't Simon the original writer on I think he was. I could be wrong on the UK books.
I think he was, but I think some of these got ported over. Not all of them, but some of them did.
Yeah, some of them did. So you said you don't care about the Rock Band thing. I find that hilarious. Not that you don't care about it, but I found that really hilarious because I'm not the most diehard Bruce Springsteen fan, but I know people who are, and I've done podcasts with people who are, and I've done podcasts with a guy who actually runs a Springsteen podcast. And I just found that so hilarious that it was a Bruce Springsteen knockoff concert. And that is so 80s because that, like I said, this was published around 85, 86. And obviously Born in the USA was huge as it released in 84. Yeah, I have. So the major separation for me is between Marvel US and IDW is, and I know, again, it's a 40-year span between the two continuities. I get it, fine. But, I need all of the colors everywhere. I remember some of the guys on Transmissions were saying about the Beast Wars comic, the one that just ended, the one we liked, that the backgrounds were all bland. These backgrounds, unless it's a building right next to the robots, they're so freaking bland. They're like one-note colors. Like, one panel could have... Okay, so there's a panel right before... it's the one right before Bumblebee says, "Track, stop admiring yourself in your rearview mirror." So the panel right before Bumblebee says that. It is a yellow road with blue cars and red cars with purple buildings and like a light bluish sidewalk.
Well, and there's a lot of white space in this and a lot of yellow backgrounds.
Yep.
And there's just not a lot going on.
Yeah, no. And I don't want us to spend every inch of this episode just on issue 14, but yeah, this is rough.
Well, and then we get to the Decepticons breaking out of the concrete, which is absurd.
It is.
And the new Autobots taking stuff down, jamming, and then the Bumblebee taking out Shockwave and the crew, and then them bolting, and then Prime at the end, You know, Bumblebee is very much in character to the animation stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't too bad. I didn't mind this one as much, but I absolutely hate the next one.
iRobot Master.
Yes. I liked when, like, it started getting good for me in this trade when we hit issues 17 and 18 and 19.
Yep.
And then it started kind of going back down for me. And then issue 24 and 25 were about where it started kind of getting better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. And what I find funny is, as we're reading this, as we're looking through this, issue 15, which is, like you said, iRobot Master. The only change is Keith Williams is the inker on issue 15. The credits are all the same, other than that. But what I find funny is, as we're going through this and looking at the specific TF Wiki articles, the stark contrast sometimes in each issue between the characters as far as how many Autobots and how many Decepticons.
Just how much how much they don't look like.
Oh, yeah, no. But I'm like looking at a list of characters for this issue. For Autobots, you have Hoist, Bumblebee, Trax, Skids, Optimus Prime, and Wheeljack for the Autobots. Decepticons, Megatron, Shockwave, Soundwave, Decepticon Jet, whatever the hell that was supposed to be, Ravage, Laserbeak, and Buzzsaw. So the last issue, the first one we talked about, the Autobots actually outnumbered the Decepticons.
Yep. And
now, just by 2? The Decepticons are outnumbering the Autobots. These comics are interesting. They're interesting. I love the page where they're all where Optimus is like giving them their mission and they're all transforming and rolling out. They're all red when he says "and roll out." Like every single, even Bumblebee. And Bumblebee's not red like, oh, it's Cliffjumper. And no, it's straight up Bumblebee. Red with black. I'm like, oh my god, the color. You're never not going to hear me talk about the colors, folks, because yikes.
Well, the colors in this series in general, like until later when they get better quality, are just horrible.
Yeah.
By comparison, like people were complaining about the Beast Wars comic. Evidently, they aren't too familiar with the Marvel run.
I think they are. I think they just forgot.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so this issue, Megatron, becomes frozen.
Yeah.
Seized up, and then they have the Robot Master, and they're trying to spin it, and then he's run out of fuel, and then you see Megatron open up, and he's got like a metal cage in his mouth, and Soundwave feeds him. And then he goes bananas and starts crushing everything.
Yep.
And Prime's like, yeah, if the humans won't listen to us, let's go.
Yeah.
And then the Robot Master guy is like trying to spin it and like he's, important. And then he lights a match on Megatron's foot, and Megatron's like, "Yeah, for the next cigarette, you like could change that equation, of his death." And
oh god!
And he says, "And you would find that smoking can indeed be hazardous to your health."
Yeah.
As he like smashes it in his mouth.
Jeez, yeah.
Megatron, I don't know, like. I just didn't like this issue. Plus, the imaging, is just horrible unless it was a human.
Yep. Yeah, the imaging was bad. The colors were, like I said, like every time the Autobots were in, like, I don't want to say silhouette, but essentially silhouette. Like, I see Optimus Prime as a red truck, like 2 times in this issue, and I just don't like it. And Megatron having a metal mouth is just weird.
It's kind of creepy.
It's very, very creepy. the next issue 16, Plight of the Bumblebee. Okay, I guess you got to give your Scout a starring issue at some point, but this one, I did not like. The Decepticon, like, first of all, Bumblebee is like, oh, the Autobots don't like me, or oh, this, or oh, that, and I'm just like, Bumblebee, come on, you know better. And then he gets kidnapped, and I don't know. Thoughts on Plight of the Bumblebee, sir?
I liked the intro page.
Mm-hmm.
Where it shows an actual, like, drawing of the figure.
Yeah, that was
like
cool.
The original toy.
Yep.
And then you see, Shockwave essentially doing, like,
Shockwave
this wiry
things.
thing,
Yeah.
shockwavy stuff. There's wires all over the place. Kind of reminds me of Beast Machine's Megatron in a sense. And
Yep.
Shockwave's kind of running the show.
Yeah, Shockwave is the leader of the Decepticons right now.
Well, and that's kind of funny because they take this same thought, like this, Shockwave and is the leader of the Decepticons and kind of ruthless and everything. And he's very much like that in the Dreamwave comics.
Mm.
So it's not that much different. But then you get the Decepticons all looking kind of blandish. And then the Autobots kind of sharing similar colors.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Playing the Boohoo card, sitting under a tree.
Yep.
Then he gets blown up real good.
Yep.
Has to hide at a car dealership, which is probably where they got the idea from the Transformer movie.
Yeah, probably.
And then...
oh, no, they weren't... no, you mean 2000... Okay.
Yeah.
No, you weren't... No, they're not that smart. Michael Bay ain't that smart.
No, somebody else was.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean,
and
I
Prime
love...
is like, we need to go save him.
Mm-hmm. I love Bumblebee. I just did not like Bumblebee in this comic because, like, I understand he's at times going to feel like he's the smallest guy or, the one who's always getting picked on and things like that, but I don't know. This just kind of hit me the wrong way where it's like, I just don't care what happens to him, and that sucks because I shouldn't not care what happens to Bumblebee.
Yeah, and he's trying to go to the rescue of Jetfire, and then Shockwave's just wanting to take him down, which I can't see Shockwave. This was very much a Megatron move, not a Shockwave move, because Shockwave is more calculated.
Yeah.
There was no reason to attack him by himself. And then the entire army of Autobots is coming.
Yeah.
And they all look very similar, and, then they all fly off, and then Bumblebee's, just kind of sitting there as the guys kind of get arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the entire army of Autobots and... Yeah, the entire army of Autobots and, like, yeah, what? Like, you guys really like me. Oh, my God, you like me. You're going to rescue me. Of course they're going to rescue you, you idiot. You're the little scout that could.
I think I could. I suck.
Mm-hmm. I think I could suck. Really? Really, could you? We don't want to see that movie.
No.
You get to issue 17, Into the Smelting Pool with you.
Yeah, this is where I started to enjoy it.
Okay, so tell me why you enjoyed this.
Cybertron.
Yes, exactly.
No humans.
Exactly.
And I loved the generic robots, and then you had the kind of flyers going on, and then you get to see Blaster.
Yep.
And then doing something other than just playing a boombox, and then you see Scrounge.
Yep.
Who's basically just a wheel. But I didn't dislike the character. I liked him because he was a spy. He was kind of sneaky. He could break in. And then I think they gave too much credit to the Decepticons and having a triple arm in the wall.
Yeah, that was a little much.
And his finger hit it, for the camera in the microphone. And then you have, I forget which Insecticon that is. Is Shrapnel?
It's probably Shrapnel, yeah.
Shrapnel. And then he folds up, he bolts, he goes to, he's heading towards Blaster. And gets caught by Shrapnel. Yeah. Which was sad.
Yeah, Scrounge has a really impressive death in this.
Yeah. And then you see Perceptor and Cosmos and, Warpath, Beachcomber, and Power Glide.
Yep, all the Season 2 Autobots.
Yeah, and so they're all there. And I really enjoyed that because you got the variations, new characters in there. And then you have Blaster and Perceptor very much kind of leading the crew there.
Yep.
And seeing the smelting pit and all the bots being dumped into it, and then you see the Bombshell, Kickback, Dirge, Thrust, Ramjet, and Straxus. And I thought Straxus was pretty robust for a villain on Cybertron.
Yeah, he's very sadistic.
Yeah. And then the Insecticons are there, and the other jets that Megatron didn't take because they're cone heads.
Exactly.
And then Straxus ripping his arm off, his special arm. My arm, my special arm. There's no other like it. Now there's not even one like it. Dispose of him. They're dragging him away, and Blaster going through the wreckage of damaged bots and heading in, and then Blaster breaking in, and then they think they're going to throw him in the smelting pot. And he starts to go in, but jumps. And then he finds Scrounge, who's basically dead. And partially melted, and he's trying to save him, and then Scrounge gives him a data disk with information, which was great. And then you see him escape with the other Autobots blowing in and destroying stuff.
Yeah, because Power Glide comes in to get Blaster after Blaster gets the data disk from Scrounge, and Scrounge basically just sinks into the smelting pit. So, yeah, that smelting pit, if it had a cover on it, I would make a Unicron joke.
No, he sprays the Insecticons and the jets with it.
No, I know. Yeah, no, that was amazing. That was awesome. That was great. But, knock down the acid cover. Like that, there's no cover to that smelting pool, so I can't make the Unicron joke. Again, Autobots versus Decepticons, smelting pool. The Decepticons, as far as featured characters, according to TF Wiki, the Decepticons outnumber the Autobots in this issue because you have Blaster, Scrounge, which obviously Scrounge dies. Spoiler, sorry, it's been 40 years. Power Glide, Cosmos, Sea Spray, Warpath, as you already mentioned, all the Season 2 guys. And then the Decepticons, you got the Insecticons, you got Ramjet, Dirge, Thrust, Straxus, Megatron, Laserbeak, Soundwave, Ravage, and Starscream.
And Prime. I mean, they've listed all these guys, just in cameo.
Well, yeah, I mean, because they're featured characters, and that's.
Otherwise, if they didn't list these, they would be even.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But yeah, and then they find out Prime's alive, and then it gives them hope.
He's alive, then he's gonna die again.
Yeah. So it gives them hope, and then it's the next one, Blaster and Straxus, battle between two worlds.
Yeah. You say it gives them hope. All I can think is, all hope is gone. No. The Matrix. Where is it? Galvatron has it. Then we have to get the Matrix. We have to. Yeah, that's all I can think of is, all hope is gone. It's like, not really. So we get to the next one, and I do love the cover. Blaster, like you said, battle between worlds. I love that cover. That was so fun. And the bridge to nowhere, I really dug this for some odd reason. I like the story in this.
I did too. Despite the human stuff, it was kind of entertaining to see, Decepticon Guardian bots trying to come through and then at the same time dematerializing and exploding.
Mm-hmm. Decepticons go boom.
Decepticons go boom.
Yep.
Soldier, go on the bridge and find out what went wrong. But Lord Straxus, the body of Crosscut seems to be lying in pieces. You dare question my orders, soldier? Go.
Better not question his orders, you soldier, because if you do, you're gonna end up like Crosscut there. And I think it's either I don't know when he actually first debuted, but the human character of Donnie Finkelberg. As I'm reading this comic on my phone, every time his name pops up, all I'm thinking is, this was 1985. What is a young Donnie Wahlberg doing in a Transformers Like, it's not anything to do with the way the character looks or how he's drawn or how it has nothing to do with. It's just seeing the name Donnie Finkelberg makes me want to replace the last name with Wahlberg. Talk about a new kid on the block.
Well, and then we get to what's funny is the last panel we see Straxus before. I mean, not the last panel, but the last, page where it's with the space bridge.
Yep.
They're starting to add these colors and these definition to the robot faces.
A little bit, yeah.
And then the Autobots, when you get to another 2 pages in, are very shiny and have a lot of the kind of more detail.
Yeah. There's a panel, it's in the trade here, it's on page 113 out of 285. It's the panel where it starts off. It's where you as one of them uses the distraction of the explosion. So that page there, the last panel on the page, Blaster. Who said that? Looking at Blaster's face here, he's either a metallic Funko Pop or he's an early version of Judge Dredd.
Yeah, I got the Judge Dredd vibe off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The only reason why I say metallic Funko Pop is the metallic Funko Pop design is supposed to look shinier than normal Funko Pops are. So that's the only reason why I said that. But yeah, very, very Judge Dredd with that. And again, I'm having fun with this. I'm getting over the fact that, and like you said, there is becoming more definition. They are doing more than just your standard 5 colors, but still, there is still the standard 5 colors to a panel or a page kind of thing. But it's getting better, so that's good. Only took them 16 issues to get better.
Well, and then we find out the space bridge is actually Spanner.
Yep.
He's like, please just destroy me. The fate of two worlds, relies on that. So it's entertaining to see, Blaster and his Autobots going on this bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very entertaining. It's very.
And Straxus fighting Blaster.
Yep.
Almost causing Blaster to kick the bucket.
Almost, yeah.
Except Blaster has the moves.
Well, of course he does.
And he kicks Straxus into the transport, and he disintegrates as Spanner allows the Autobots to go through, which shows that he's been torching the Decepticons the whole time.
Yeah, so he's clearly chosen a side. So I just quickly looked up, as you were talking earlier, I basically just clicked on Spanner's name here on the TF Wiki and just opened his article he's essentially what Cerebros is in Rebirth, where Cerebros doesn't want to fight, he doesn't want to be a part of the war, he just wants to be at peace kind of thing. Well, apparently the war chose Spanner, and Spanner chose the side of the Auto. You know, it's like that old X-Men line. You got to choose a side. Are you sure you chose the right one from Wolverine? It's like, yeah, like you said, he's just been nuking Decepticons, and yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, it was cool. And then you find that the Autobots end up on Earth.
Yep.
Then they tease Omega Supreme.
Oh yeah.
Which the next cover, I love this cover.
I love this cover.
I love the detail, and I love the shine that they put on it. I love just the fact that he's torching the Decepticons.
Mm-hmm. And I love, and I don't remember off the top of my head who handles most of the tfwiki.net stuff, but if you look at the article on there for this, I'm gonna send this to you really quick. But if you look at this on here, under the caption for the cover, it says, "Asses handed to Decepticons."
Yep.
Pretty much, because it's fucking Omega Supreme. I mean, how can you not? Like, oh god, it's so good. And I love all of this. This is probably my favorite issue out of the entire trade for this volume.
Oh, I agree.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we've kind of been negative, and I've kind of been a lot of negative with this stuff, but again, this is my first experience with it, and I'm so used to a completely different writing and art style coming from reading the IDW stuff, but I'm not holding them in comparison. I'm trying my only, again, my standard complaint is, the 5 colors are, like, the writing is good. I mean, there are a couple of lines here or there where it's like, not really, but overall, it's good. But man, this Omega book, this Omega issue, and so many Autobots and so many Decepticons, and thankfully only 3 humans. But yeah, I do want to say about this issue, issue 19 here in the U.S. for Transformers. Again, same creative team except for the inkers. Ian Akin and Brian Garvey were the inkers on this one, along with Don Perlin being the penciler as always, Bob Budiansky being the writer, Nell Yomtov being the colorist. And man, Omega looks so good in comic form.
Yeah, I really like Omega Supreme.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So fun. And you actually get a shot of, again, you were talking about how the colors and backgrounds and things were getting more defined and changing. So it's on the 6th or 7th, maybe. It's like the 9th or 10th page into the issue. You get this top panel here with the Autobots blasting out of somewhere, and you see Optimus Prime with a red cab and a white/grayish sort of trailer with bluish wheels. So he's not just a all red truck like he was before in certain silhouettes, because he's being character defined as his alt mode here. So again, yeah, I'm loving this art and these colors. Even though it's still mostly like 5 or 6 colors per panel, they're more defined and they are more interesting than they were in the previous 18 issues.
Yep.
Yeah, but Omega Supreme, Devastator, Constructicons, all Shockwave, Soundwave. How can you not look? Like, this is an issue I would read over and over again just by itself. Forget the rest of the trade. Megatron. Oh my god. I have never liked the Marvel comic design of Megatron because I'm used to Megatron having a all gray head, not a black helmet with a gray face. It's on page 142 out of 285, but it's the panel where it's Shockwave and Laserbeak, and Shockwave is telling Megatron something about begging. Megatron says, "Beg? It is you who should beg me, Shockwave, for my forgiveness." I look at his face here and I'm like, he kind of reminds me of a rock soldier from the TMNT cartoon a little bit, just the way his face is.
I love how the Autobots take out Devastator.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Omega Supreme comes in and just wipes the floor with the Decepticons.
Yep.
And he takes out, some of the jets. He, blasts Laserbeak. He takes down all of the Decepticons. And Omega's looking at Megatron. "I am the number you cannot compute, Decepticon."
No, you're nothing more than another Autobot coward.
And then, Omega just knocks him right out.
Mm-hmm.
Blasts him down, damages him,
He basically slaps him.
Oh, yeah, and then Megatron complains to Shockwave, just ridiculing him, and then Shockwave's, "Your argument is sound, I have failed, and you have succeeded, Commander."
Yep.
But it's funny because then Omega's just kind of camped out, sitting there next to the Ark, and then the Autobots are standing there. Skids is missing.
Yeah.
Playing music, and it's just kind of interesting to see damage working its way through.
Yeah. And I love the issue 20 cover. "This town ain't big enough for the both of us. Autobot, draw." I love that. And again, the captions, "Brokeback Cybertron." I'm like, oh no, they didn't.
They did.
They did, but they shouldn't have, most likely. I don't know how many people are reading these Wikipedia articles, but I was like, oh crap. And this issue 20 was first published May of 1986. The cover date on it was September 86, though. And this is complete change in penciler. It is Herb Trimpe this time, along with Ian Akin and Brian Garvey back as inkers. Colors Neil Yomtov is also there, obviously written by Buddy Ansky. But yeah, the fact that the penciler has changed for this issue, and you can clearly tell because this is the showdown, and the first 2 giant zoomed in guided view pieces I have on Comixology's app on my phone is Ravage. Oh boy, that's one hell of a bad kitty. He looks great, but yikes, that's scary. Oh boy. Yeah, and this issue, surprisingly, It's like we've been talking about so far, from issue 14 to issue 19. For the most part, it's been all robots with a few humans. Now it's literally 3 robots and 6 humans.
I feel like we're in this issue with the showdown that we're watching The Girl Who Loved Power Glide.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it's basically the same thing.
It's pretty much the same thing,
except it's the Texan who loved skids.
Yeah. Yeah, and literally, though, the best part of this entire issue is everything that Ravage is doing. I love Ravage in this. So good. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this one.
Yeah, it was an interesting issue, I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want to highlight from this?
Megatron's like King Kong holding a girl.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then Megatron just blows away Skids.
Poor Skids.
Yeah.
And I mean, Skids is the only Autobot. Like, you couldn't have had, like, Skids and Trax and Cosmos, or not Cosmos. Like, you couldn't have, like, an Autobot trio or somebody, something. Or just have him have a regular part, like Prowl or Bumblebee. Or, like, throw somebody in there to give him some sort of backup. I mean, I guess, I don't know. Did it work for you that he was completely outnumbered?
I mean, it's fine. I've seen stuff like that before. I did love that the Hot Rod took out Ravage.
Yeah.
Initially.
Yes.
And then there's, the whole fight that ensues there. But they did make Ravage look pretty...
He's badass in this comic.
Oh, I know. He looks ferocious, and then he falls down the pit.
Yep. Kitty go down the hole.
Kitty go down the hole.
That's what she said.
And then, Skids is basically like, yeah, I need to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tease the aerial bots, which the cover for the next one, again, I enjoy.
Yeah, that cover, man. This is, again, Don Perlin is back as the penciler, same inkers, rest of the crew is the same. But this cover, this had a first published June of 86. Cover date was October of 86. So this was first published 2 months before the movie. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because that cover, look at the cover. Look at the main cover with all the aerial bots and then the thing firing up at them.
Yeah.
Like, it's, okay, there's no giant planet there, and it's the wrong color. It's a green font color on the Transformers. But, like, seriously, I'm like, I wonder. Like, I'm just now noticing this as I'm looking at this on my computer. I'm like, holy crap, that's kind of sort of shades of the movie poster. And I should know the movie poster's right behind me on my about to be put up on my wall. This issue, I don't know. I think, does this go... Yeah, so this has, like, I want to say 5 acts in it. We've got stuff with Megatron and the Insecticons, and then we've got Skids, who's returning to the Ark with Wahlberg, with Wheeljack using the Combiner technology stolen from the Decepticons, and we get introduced to the aerial bots, which I think is cool, and I like them kind of... showing off Ramjet, Thrust, and Dirge. Because, as much as people crap on the Coneheads, I do like parts of their designs. I don't know if they had enough personality, but I do like some of their stuff. But, we get Superion, we get this, we get that, but it just seems like it seems like this one issue is like a 5-act play. There's so much going on here.
Yeah, This is where it starts kind of getting all over the place for me.
Yeah, it starts fading for you.
Yeah, I really didn't care about this issue.
Yeah.
And you see the Megatron pistol and the guy's hand, and you get Superion, and essentially he's taking command of the human.
Mm-hmm.
And then towards the end of the issue, I really hate Circuit Breaker.
Yeah.
Because there's all the Autobots' faces like ripped off, sitting on the wall, and they've scrapped essentially everybody that came from Cybertron.
Okay. So for people like me who has only really heard about the name and seen the design, I'm sorry in advance, but I'm going to do this for myself. I am reading from a Wikipedia article, folks. It's okay. In this one instance, it's okay. She is a villain whose pathological hatred of robots knows no bounds. She refuses to make the distinction between Autobot and Decepticon, blaming the Transformer race as a whole for the attack, which left her crippled. As such, she is more likely to do harm to the Autobots' cause than to be of assistance. Okay, so if people just rewind the podcast a little bit on your cassette decks and listen to what I just said. Pathological hatred of robots. It's essentially Dr. Swalford and Dr. Morgan. It's essentially the two guys from the Hate Plague, from Return of Optimus Prime. It's essentially those characters into one female. She is a combination of those male characters and a combination of Jessica Morgan, Dr. Morgan's daughter, who got paralyzed. Like, oh my God. Yeah, no.
I'm not a huge fan of Circuit Breaker anyway.
No, not really.
But they eventually do this to Spike too.
Well, yes. I mean, it's Spike after all, which kind of sucks. But this issue, the Autobots outnumber the Decepticons as far as featured characters, which is interesting. I do love the main cover. I got to check and see if one thing. No. Oh, this is interesting. This is really strange. Most of the main covers have included the UPC on the bottom left-hand corner. Mm-hmm. This issue's cover has black suited Spider-Man's head.
Yep.
On the bottom, and I'm like, wait, what? I know it's Marvel. I understand. I get it, but like that kind of confused me.
Well, it's not that much confusing because issue 3, like way back in part 1, had Black Suit Spider-Man.
Black Suit Spider-Man. And the funny thing is, the comic cover I have shown here in Comixology in the trade issue for IDW just has a blank white spot there. Does not have. It's the same cover. It just doesn't have the Spider-Man face on the white piece. Interesting. So are you still fading, or are you liking it again?
Still kind of hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
This particular issue, because it's got Circuit Breaker, I'm not like a huge fan, and I really hate Donnie Fiekelberg, who thankfully goes away in not too distant future.
Yeah.
I find it too funny that they do the brain module thing with Prime, which is probably where the idea for Optimal getting taken over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have Skids here, you have Megatron controlling Prime, all the Autobots sitting there, and Megatron channeling to bring Menasor to life.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this that I do like,
mm-hmm.
conceptually wise.
Mm-hmm.
when Circuit Breaker shows up, anytime her and Donnie show up, I'm like, please remove them. And then you have Forsyth, or Barnett showing up, which is, I don't have a problem with him per se, because he kind of reminds me of the guy from Transformers Prime.
Oh, Fowler.
Fowler. He kind of reminds me of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a problem with him. I just don't like the other two people.
Yeah.
And then I like when Menasor shows up and fights Superion, and
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was kind of cool, and crunches up cars and chucks them at Superion.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's what I like about this issue. It's basically the aerial bots versus the Stunticons. God. How the hell am I a Transformers fan? I almost screwed that up. Yeah, and I like that that's pretty much all. Okay, you have a few more on the Autobot side, but basically the Decepticon list is Bombshell, Megatron, Soundwave, and then the Stunticons with Menasor. That's cool. It's a nice few fight scenes in this too.
Yeah, and the Marvel run has a lot of that. There's definitely a lot of talk crowding the scenes, but there's also a lot story-wise going on. And they're starting to be more serialized now, which is kind of nice. I'm not a huge fan on serialized stuff in general, but it's not terrible where they're going with it.
Yeah. For me, I have to have serialized, continuity-driven things in most
For comics, I do. For television, I don't.
Depends on the show. Like comedy, no, you really don't. But like something like Star Trek, you need continuity. You know that better than anybody.
Well, yes and no.
That's a debate for another show.
You need continuity. You don't need serialized.
True. We get to issue 23 and Decepticon graffiti. Okay, then. So, yeah, this issue happened.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this either. And then they're dissecting skids.
Yeah, dissecting skids. Yeah, let's get to the death, folks, because issue 24.
Well, I mean, there is a wall of Transformers stuck to the wall. They've got all the aerial bots. They've got all the Cybertronian ones that came from Cybertron. They got Blaster. I mean, it's sad. Yeah,
it's very sad.
But yeah, I hate this issue. So
issue 24, I've got my super zoom in on Comixology here. 75 cents in the U.S., 95 cents in Canada. 95 cents for the After Death. Oh my god. Surprisingly, by this point now, I'm so used to the limited color palette that I'm kind of liking it. Like the first few pages here with the purple, like the machine color purple stuff. I like that. I like some of the other backgrounds. The human stuff I could do without, but it is what it is. And yeah, the comic death of Optimus Prime.
Well, and then there's the Cerebro shell in Prime, and Wheeljack pulls it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Megatron and Prime meet.
Yep.
Right outside of this lab.
Yep.
And we have Defensor and the Combaticons, because when one is trying to sell toys.
Yes.
And then they're going to have this huge battle. And there's this video game that they see the guy, hey, let's have a, no destroying, let's just do this. And it's funny that it just happens to be compatible. And they plug it into their head. And then they've got the controllers, which look like Atari.
Yeah.
And they're showing the different maps and the different things. And all the Autobots and Decepticons are hooked up.
Yep.
To fight in the game.
Yeah. It's a virtual reality robot rumble, and I love the panel with Shockwave. It's not it's Megatron saying this, but so I waited 4 million years to destroy Optimus Prime, and a fleshling does it for me? Shit, that hurt. He's mad. He's a danger to all our plans for conquering this world's energy resources as long as he is in command. Yeah, it's so... And the one thing I noticed about this issue is that I don't know if I've noticed it before, but Megatron's Decepticon symbol, first of all, and I know the art team has kind of changed, and that's fine, but his helmet is darker blue, black, or whatever it's supposed to be than it ever has before previously to this.
And they kind of keep it that way for the comic.
Yeah, no, and it's fine. I'm just noticing the change is all. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that I'm noticing the stark contrast between the dark colors on his head versus the grayish white of the rest of him. And then in these two panels here where Megatron's like, he's thinking about what Shockwave says, and then he says, "He lives, Optimus Prime lives." He's got a red Decepticon symbol. It's not bright red, it's very muted, but it's like, I might be legally blind, but I ain't colorblind, folks. I know the difference between red and purple. I've eaten enough Skittles in my 43 years on this planet. Thank you. It's a red Decepticon symbol. And I'm like, wait, what? Why?
I think they just did it.
Yeah, it's a close-up. It's a whatever. And you're right. I think they just did it.
And then it's kind of crap what happens, like, you know, towards the end. Prime's like, I killed imaginary people. Kill me.
Yes, I must. And look, when I say this line, folks, I don't want anyone coming after me, because if you've listened to any of my podcasts in the last 15 years, you know how much of a proponent of suicide prevention I am. But please kill me now. Put me out of my misery, because I've killed another fictional character. Remember, folks, fictional characters. Yeah, Prime wanting to commit suicide is it's no. I'm going to sit here and say it definitively. In TFG and Mike's personal opinion, Optimus Prime wanting to commit suicide versus going on because he killed fictional characters in a game, it's the single worst character thing Optimus Prime has ever had done to him, more than any bad writer in the Bayverse has ever done. I will give him my face every day of the week. This right here is insulting to us as fans of this franchise, and to those people who are fans of Optimus Prime. I'm a fan of Optimus Prime. This is by far the worst character thing I think I've ever seen in 43 years on this planet with Optimus Prime. He would you want to talk about things Optimus Prime would never do. He would never tell you to sacrifice himself or him actually wanting to kill himself. This almost makes me want to give this entire thing a 0. I'm not going to do that, but literally that's so infuriating.
Yeah, and then he's blown up.
Yeah, of course.
And then he's like, I killed Optimus Prime. And then he's there, and then
you're really dead, old friend. I can't say I'll miss you.
And then he leaves, and then Ethan Zachary had copied Prime to a floppy.
Yep.
A floppy.
Yeah, there's no way.
The multitude of Optimus Prime is on a floppy.
There's no fucking way. You couldn't even put KIT, the Night Industries 2000, on a floppy disk. Yeah, there's no... this last issue, man, or the second, whatever it is, second to last, or whatever the hell this is. Yeah, Gone but Not Forgotten. Yeah, yeah, no, the next one, the last one is Megatron's last. Okay, yeah, issue 24 is the one with the floppy, and it's like, wait, what? I'm glad the trade doesn't end on issue 24, because if it did, I would have even more problems. But we get issue 25, Megatron's Last Stand. Oh, and the other thing I didn't like is completely separate from all this crazy Optimus Prime stuff. I understand the name of certain bases is fine, whatever. The Ark, the what's the stupid, the Nemesis, the whatever. That's fine. But what is it? Is it the base on Cybertron, the Auto base? Like, okay, don't call it the. That's the. I don't know. Final issue. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like that Megatron gets bored, but it seems a very Starscreamy thing to do.
Oh yes, he's
sitting there throwing a tantrum on a pile of junk.
Yep.
And he's still worried about Optimus Prime.
Yep.
The fact that Prime's dead now. So he's like paranoid. He knows we're here.
Mm-hmm.
And then he crushes Brawl's head.
Yeah.
And then chucks his body.
Yeah. No body for
goes
Brawl.
off on Shockwave.
Yep.
And then Shockwave's making preparations with Soundwave.
Yep.
And then they have Megatron throwing an even bigger tantrum, and then Shockwave is like, "Hey, Predacons, we got a job."
Yeah.
He's like, "Take out Megatron."
Yeah.
And then Megatron's freaking out because every time he sees a tractor trailer that looks like Prime,
he thinks it's Prime.
He thinks it's Prime.
So this issue, Megatron's Last Stand, it's essentially Web World for Megatron.
And he's having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This whole issue is essentially Galvatron going insane and going to the Web World planet and, all of that. Megatron is, like you said, having a nervous breakdown. And again, so many Decepticons. And you really only have Streetwise, Hotspot, and First Aid.
And then Megatron, because he's never met the Predacons, and they have Autobot symbols on them.
Yes.
He's like, we're your doom, Megatron, the Autobot symbol. Your Autobots. Prime sent you to kill me. And then they're ripping him apart, just bashing in parts of him, ripping parts of him off.
Yep.
And he's still holding his own.
Yeah.
And then his face is torn up.
Yeah.
And he still throws all of them. And they're like, all right, this is enough. They're like Predacons combined.
Yeah.
And then they're fighting Megatron as he's falling apart. And it's just entertaining how the whole thing goes. And then Megatron goes nuts. And Megatron is too clever. Yes, too clever. Megatron will go where no one can ever follow him. He's speaking in the third person like Waspinator.
Yeah.
Where Optimus Prime can never follow, and then he blows himself up in the space bridge. Yeah, he's like, you did it. You destroyed Megatron. Congratulations. Correction, Soundwave. Although everything went precisely as I planned, I did not destroy Megatron. A memory did. And that's the end of the trade. Like,
yeah, that's the end of this part of the story. It's like, holy crap, what's next?
And it's all over the place.
Yeah, no, it really is. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. By the end of this trade, even though I'm still going to complain and say, oh, it's 5 colors or whatever, it's just a standard complaint for me. Like, I'm not going to take points. I'm going to take points off more for Optimus Prime wanting to kill himself than I'm going to take points off for only having 5 colors in a comic. But by the end of it, the story's got a lot better. As much as it is a very much cliffhanger-ish type of thing to do with Megatron and his web world stuff, oh man, this kind of wackadoo.
Yeah, it kind of was. And I don't honestly start enjoying it until probably volume 4.
Oh, well,
just prefacing that.
Yeah, volume 4 is going to be the last one here in Autobotly April, and then we're going to come back with Autobotly August later this year. And finish it off with volumes 5 through 8. Oh, God. 8 volumes for this entire run. Crazy. Volume 2, 0 to 5, what do you give it?
The whole thing?
Yeah.
I'll probably give it a 2.5 because there's more I don't like than what I like.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's a 2.5. Easily. Even though the stories got better close to the end there, some of the rest of it is just like, this is not good stuff. Like, I'm not sure how people enjoyed this back then, let alone now. I know there are several podcasts out there that are doing the same thing that we're doing, even though we're doing it in a shorter form type of stuff, even though we've spent an hour talking about these issue 14 to 25, 11 comics. 11 comics in under 2 hours, folks. That doesn't happen on the pull bag. Half the time when I talk comics on the pull bag with anybody, and I'm not calling him out specifically just because this is what happens. JT from Saskatoon and I can talk about 5 issues of Batman Beyond. We'll be here for 2.5 to 3 hours. The fact that you and I have just covered sort of 11 comics in under 2 hours. Shocking. And I have no, like, one of the things that we always ask over on Studio 2009 is, like, when we talk about movies, like if we talk about, say, Lethal Weapon, the first film, and one of the questions is, are you itching to watch the next film now or something or whatever? So if it's a sequel, obviously, with Weapon 2, 3, 4, whatever. And sometimes we say yes, sometimes we say no. At this point, now that even though I read Volume 1 like 8 years ago at this point, but now that we've covered the first 25 issues of the series, I'm not itching for more of it, but I'm not as jaded as I originally was because I didn't grow up with this. So I'm okay when we get to doing Volume 3 next week, I think, unless another stupid choice is made and Bumblebee commits suicide.
No, but
no, I know. Yeah, I'm saying, like, you know, something like that happens. I'm like I haven't like reached my point of, okay, Steve, I'll pre-record the intro. You can talk to yourself in your voices, or you can talk to whomever you like. I'm not to the point of abandoning these episodes of my podcast here. I hope that doesn't happen at all, actually. But
yeah, well, there's some interesting stuff that happens in the next trade for sure.
All right, folks. We were both giving this 2.5, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go to a quick ad break. You're going to hear some ads and some other stuff. We're going to come back to close the show right after this.
Kid? Yes? Shut up.
Beyond the Night is the GCRN's latest review podcast. We are covering everything in the Knight Rider television universe. From the classic 80s TV series to the 1991 reunion film, Team Knight Rider, and the 2008 relaunch series as well. So join TFG and Mike and Dion the Music Man as they go in depth and Beyond the Night only on Geekcast Radio Network. You can find Beyond the Night in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com.
Kid?
Yes, Michael.
Just keep driving.
Hey, welcome to the Last Comic Shop Podcast,
a comic book podcast that actually talks about comics.
Yep, each week we open the shop up and read and discuss a comic.
Sometimes we pair that up with comic book movies or TV shows.
Or not. Lots of times it's just comic books and sound effects.
Oh, yes, definitely lots of sound effects.
So tune in on all the major podcasting platforms to the Last Comic Shop Podcast, or check out our library of evergreen shows at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com.
Like science fiction? Of course you do, or you wouldn't be listening to the Geekcast Radio Network. Well, the Mark 42's Universe podcast is an award-winning sci-fi radio show that's been around for over 10 years. We cover everything from Doctor Who to the MCU to pop culture and everything in between. A new show drops on Tuesday mornings on the GCRN website and all of the major podcast platforms. So listen to the Mark 42's Universe podcast from the universe and beyond.
You are receiving a transmission from the Rod Pod. Upload pending.
Stand by for soundtrack transfer.
I am Maggie.
And I am John.
And we are trapped, hurtling through space in a ship shaped like Rodimus's head.
The ship, for reasons we haven't been able to determine, contains the entire run of the IDW Transformers Phase 2 comic, which chronicle the events following the end of the war between the Autobots and Decepticons. So we figure we may as well read them all in order and report our findings to you.
Stand by. Stand by.
Upload complete. Now.
The Rod Pod. Look for us at marriedwcomics.libsyn.com, at iTunes, at Stitcher, or wherever good podcasts can be found.
So, till all are one.
Till all are one.
Do you know John Hyatt songs?
Maybe you know them from being covered by Roseanne Cash, Three Dog Night, the Neville Brothers, Emmylou Harris, Eric Clapton, B.B. King, Jeff Healey, Bonnie Raitt, or literally hundreds of others.
Maybe you have some of his albums on your shelf, or in your cow-horned Cadillac right now.
I'm Jesse Jackson.
And I'm Sylvan Groff.
And we're going to dive in from A to Z. Join us on the Perfectly Good Podcast.
We're going to discuss all of your favorites and uncover some forgotten gems, from Aces Up Your Sleeve to Zero House.
Rate and debate every John Hyatt song on the Perfectly Good Podcast. Have a little faith. For over 6 years, my guest and I have been discussing the soundtracks to our lives. I'm Jesse Jackson, and I've had hundreds of fans from around the world share their stories about the power and magic of all kinds of music. If you enjoy stories about joy, redemption, trials, and ultimately triumph, then please check out Set Listing Bruce, a Bruce Springsteen fan podcast. Remember, there is magic in the night.
Hello, all sentient beings. Want the latest on everything going on in the Transformers multiverse? Check out the Transmissions Podcast Network. We've got weekly podcasts covering everything from Alpha Trion to Omega Supreme, from old school G1 all the way up to Cyberverse and beyond. And you don't want to miss Empire of Rust, the world's first and only Transformers live play role-playing game podcast. If you love Transformers, there's something for everyone at transmissionspodcast.com.
Discover a world of vintage and modern toys that's more than meets the eye with the Triple Takeover Toycast.
Hosted by toy writers and photographers Toybox Soapbox, 6O, and TF Square 1, this informal and chilled out series of discussions cover everything from vintage Transformers to Mask, Diaclone, Microman and more, be it nostalgic or current.
Whether you're a seasoned collector or a casual robot enthusiast, all are welcome.
Triple Takeover Toycast.
All right, folks, we are back here inside the pull bag on all things Transformers. What a month this is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, are you enjoying going back? I know you enjoy this stuff anyway, and I know you know it more than I know it, and I'm experiencing it for the first time, but did you enjoy this?
You mean going back?
Yeah, just and finally talking about it, or did we skip anything? Is there anything?
No,
more
I don't think we skipped anything. I think we hit all the right notes. There was definitely a lot more to be desired.
Yeah.
But it wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
But some of these are best left in the past.
Yeah. I think that's why other than the whole story of why everyone knows why I went to IDW, I think that's why I, most comics, I can't read, in general, any comic book before the year 2000. It's just, the 90s were completely different, the 80s, the 70s, and then you get even further back into 40s, 50s, 30s, all that. It's really... It's rough, but yeah, like I've said in this episode of the show, there were moments in this that I absolutely I laughed at the Bruce Springsteen knockoff thing. I thought that was hilarious. I laughed at certain Bumblebee trying to teach the other Autobots the stuff with the street signs and the traffic signals and no transforming and. All that. That was fun. I enjoyed the Megatron Shockwave.
Power dynamic.
Yeah, because normally Shockwave is Mr. Loyalty. Shockwave is, I'm going to stay on Cybertron until you come back. Kind of loyal. He's as loyal, if not more loyal, than Soundwave has always been. Shockwave is not Starscream. But yet Shockwave shows in his logic why he should lead at times instead of Megatron. And same thing with Megatron. Megatron shows him, okay, this is why you should. Okay, Commander. It was interesting seeing that. It was fun, experiencing that for the first time. It was interesting. So I'm slightly looking forward to the more of it, but I don't know what's going to happen. So
agreed.
Anything you want to promote or anything before I run through the closing?
I don't think so.
All right. Thank you for joining us here inside the pull bag on all things Transformers. If you'd like to get in contact with us, leave feedback for the show. There are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our content. Send us email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can check us out on any podcatching client you choose to use. We are on Twitter at geekcastradio for the network, at all things TFV3 for all things Transformers, at the pullbag for our show here. I am at TF2 Mike. What is your Twitter?
At SCP21.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/geekcastradio network. You can also check out all things Transformers and the pullbag over there as well. Join us next time. We'll be doing Transformers Classics Volume 3. here inside the pull bag on all things Transformers. For now, I am TFG and Mike with
Steve Megatron.
Close us out, Megatron.
And until next time, transform and transcend into the Marvel Universe.
So where did I put the other shit then? Fuck.
In the toilet.
No, well, that's where the other shit goes, but that's not where I put the other shit. So it's funny because Google Pixel whatever can, obviously all phones can take screenshots, but Google Lens can copy text, and
I love that feature.
I love that feature too, except it completely fucked up the text. So the picture I sent you, or the screenshot I sent you of the table of contents showing issue 14, March 85, blah, 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 blah. Well, it also had the writers and the it fucked up all, like, Blensky. Like, literally, and I'm like, how do you fuck that up, Google? It's a straight copy and paste. Like, how do you fuck it up?
Yes. I wish to speak to my lawyer.